This is Support is Sexy, episode 213, with Courtney Daniel, creator of C. Daniel Designs. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I interview inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and their lessons to help you take your business and your life to the next level and create something sexy. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm so happy to have you here because it just would not be the same without you. And today on the show, we are welcoming Courtney Daniel. And Courtney is the owner and the creator of a fabulous company called C. Daniel Designs. You have to go to her Instagram. Of course, I'll have links to everything, but you have to check it out. Courtney designs this fantastic stationery, greeting cards, note cards, her own unique way of getting in touch with people. And she talks about in this episode the importance of that personal touch, whatever that looks like for you. We also talk about, I'm an introvert and I talk to a lot of introverts on the show. It's amazing how many creative people are introverts. And in this episode, we talk about navigating business as an introvert and how to make authentic connections to people. So what you'll also learn from Courtney in this episode is tips on how to break out of your shell, how to turn your passion into a must-have product, the importance of speaking your dream job into existence, what you can learn from the hiccups in your journey. There's always a lesson there. How to connect with clients in a meaningful way, smart and easy ways to network, advice for how to get your product in the hand of potential clients. She has a great idea about that. And the truth about the loneliness of entrepreneurship and how to make it through. On Support is Sexy podcast, we get very real with each other about what this journey is like. And that includes the lonely times, because there are going to be times, whether you're a solopreneur or even if you own a big company, there is a feeling of loneliness that sometimes comes along with entrepreneurship. So we talk a little bit about that. Also, be sure that you listen to the end of the episode because Courtney has an amazing gift just for Support is Sexy listeners. So you have to listen out for how you can get that. Some of her designs she's making available to us. It's beautiful. I've seen it. You're going to want to listen and find out more about this. All right. So now, without further ado, Courtney Daniel. So Courtney, thank you so much for joining me for an episode of Support is Sexy. I'm excited to have you here.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Excited we were able to make it happen.
Yes.
Now, first
That's another story.
Exactly. Now, first question. When did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I fell in love with entrepreneurship early on. I just didn't know how I would be able to accomplish it or get into it. So I kind of observed the people that were around me. Mm-hmm. So I'll say it was back when I worked in corporate America in the banking industry. And I would see, or you would talk to people that are come inside the bank, like, what do you do? And it's like, I own my own business. And, from there, I would ask more questions like, how do you get into that? And, so from all the information that I was gathering, I would just do my own little research and, was like, hey, maybe I could do this on my own thing because, I can set my own hours. I can play by my own rules. I can do my own thing. I can meet people and learn about their stories as well. So it's kind of like I wasn't tied down to just that 9 to 5 or 8 to 4. I could be flexible. So.
Do you think it was something that was always in you or a curiosity that was always in you? Because it sounds like you were already into a position. It's not like you were looking to figure out, or maybe you were looking to figure out what you wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was in me. And why I say that is because when I was smaller growing up, I would see my grandfather and my grandmother. They had their own business, but when you're smaller, you're just thinking it's work. Mm-hmm. It doesn't click until you get older. And so I would see them, and they would have a good time just talking to people, being around different people, and the same people, like the repeat people, like clients. Mm-hmm. Now, as I got older, I knew they were clients, they were repeat clients. But before, it's like, I keep seeing the same person over and over and over again. So I just I saw that and I wanted to know, what was that? Like, what is that? Like, how is it that you can attract these people to come to you and you guys are happy, always having a good time, and people know you're around town? So it's like one of those things I really wanted to find out about. So I think it kind of sparked that interest way when I was little, small. Yeah, small.
Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in a little town in Georgia, close to Columbus, Georgia. And so in the 7th grade, we moved from that small town to the big city, well, which was known as the big city at the time, Atlanta. And so from there, I attended 7th grade through high school in Gwinnett County.
Oh, okay. So you're close to where I'm in Georgia now, in Stone Mountain, which is close to Gwinnett County. Yeah, I thought I heard a little accent there.
Yeah.
Now, what was a young Courtney like as a little girl?
I was shy. I was very quiet. I kept to myself. I didn't like any trouble. I just did what I was supposed to do. I always sat in the front of the class because I wanted to make sure I wasn't distracted. And, I was able to make those grades that I really wanted to make, which was straight A's. So I was just really, at the time, I didn't know I was an introvert, but a real introvert, to where I did not like any type of, don't bring any attention to me. I'm just here doing my own thing.
And what was that like for you going through school? Was it easy, difficult, normal for you to navigate? And I say that as an introvert too, and having learned more about it over the years.
I say, just looking back, it was probably hard because, I wanted to be cool like the cool kids, or have the friends, and be on the basketball team, that kind of stuff. But I didn't know exactly what was keeping me from being able to move forward and try out or move forward and say, hey, I'm interested in that. It was just I was just taken over by being quiet and not knowing how to actually articulate it and say, I want to do that, or I think that's super cool. Or two, you got to think like in middle school, high school, middle school, when I moved to Atlanta, it was a whole new territory for me. Right. So of course that was something very new. And I'm like, how do they operate? Because you go from a little small country town to something that's big. It's like moving to New York. You're there, and it's like everything is moving fast paced. Nothing is slow to what you were used to. And it's like, how do you adapt as like that 7th grader? Because you're going through that changing of puberty and all that. So I just didn't know how to ask. Did you? Or no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Or get involved. I didn't know how to ask or, move forward with what I was feeling on the inside or what I wanted to do.
Did you have brothers and sisters growing up that were around your age? Or you were?
Yeah. I do. I have a twin sister.
Oh.
And, I have a twin sister, and then I had a younger sister. So my twin sister, we're totally different. We're totally opposite. So I would say she's the extrovert. I'm the introvert. And so she had friends. She knew how to get out there and be social and all out in the crowd. But for me, I'm just like, I don't know if I want that, or I don't know if I feel that. It looks like it, I have to put too much energy into that.
Yeah. That's what they say. Have you ever read, I know everyone knows I mention this book all the time. It's one of my favorites. Quiet by Susan Cain. Oh, I have to send you the link, Courtney. It's one of my, it really showed me just the idea about being an introvert, and that it's really about energy and how you manage energy different to other people. So like you said, in that case of feeling like, oh, that looks like it's going to take too much energy. Usually that's the thing for introverts. Being around a lot of people takes a lot of energy. So we feel drained afterward. Usually as an extrovert, they thrive on that energy. So I was like, oh, okay. It just really made it make sense for me. So I'm going to send you a link to that, and I'll have links on your page for it.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's really great. So how did you get to the point then, or did you get to the point where you sort of transition to being more outgoing, or did you feel like you slowly developed a way of just being yourself as an introvert and quiet and still being able to develop the passions and things that you wanted to do with your life as you got older?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's kind of both, because as a entrepreneur, you can't sit back as a introvert and expect to be successful, because it takes talking to people. It takes that networking. It takes getting out of your comfort zone to get a sale or to even let people know what you do. I mean, it's not like everyone, they have telepathy and can read your mind and know what's going on. So you're going to have to verbalize that. You're going to have to get up enough guts, get up enough energy to even speak to someone, so I just felt like as years went on and, working in the corporate industry, of course, like I said before, it was like banking. So I had to talk to people, but it was a point where it's like, I don't want to talk to anybody else. I just want to shut down at this moment. But then I had to ask, like, okay, Courtney, if you shut down and you don't talk to people, how are you going to be a successful entrepreneur? So I think it was more me wanting it more and me wanting to be successful that really made me push and say, Courtney, get out of your comfort zone. Practice, ask someone if you could practice with them. Like, hey, if you ask me what I do, then what am I to say? Or what do you think about this? So I kind of like started asking more questions to kind of get comfortable with the questions that do come as entrepreneurship, which is the first one. Like, hey, what do you do? So I would ask those type of questions to kind of so I could have my answers ready.
Right.
My answers ready. But if you ask me more than what I've practiced for, it kind of like, I go back in my shell.
Right.
It's like, okay, it's enough. I can't talk anymore. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. And I say it's so interesting too, because I know you and I, connected with you reaching out, and now it seems like you've gotten into a groove of being able to reach out to people and doing interviews. And I know you've been on other shows and things. So I think it's good for people to hear that you came from that space of, like you said, either shutting down or once you felt like enough was enough to getting to the point where you decided you want your business and things to be successful more than you desire to be in your shell at all times. I mean, as an introvert, you still have moments where you go in and you want to be by yourself and that kind of thing. But it sounds like you balance both.
Yes. So what are you, like an intro extrovert or what?
Yeah,
what
exactly. Exactly. They say most of us are a little bit of both, especially if you're someone who wants to be successful in some ways.
Yeah,
excellent.
Absolutely.
So how did you then decide what kind of business you were going to start? You were working in the bank and you said people were coming in and you were sort of getting an idea of what people did as entrepreneurs. When did your design company become the thing for you?
Yeah, so actually my design company started like as a hobby. So I would do it to, when I felt like I needed to rest, or I wanted to be alone to kind of recoup, like I've had enough for the day. So I found it a way as releasing what I felt on the inside. So I would just make design, like create cards. I would just, see something in my head and it's like, oh, okay, that may be nice. So let me design that. So from there, I would just make cards. I would just make them. And I wouldn't want to sell them because I thought they were cute at the time. So I just held on to them because I felt like they were just a piece of me. And I didn't know if I was ready to share that yet, because I didn't want to have to go through the critiques, or if it's not good enough, or do you think you're going to be able to have a business with just making cards? You get that. And I don't know if I was ready for that. So I think that's one of the things that really kept me in corporate America longer than I wanted to be, because I didn't know if I was ready for, taking people's opinions. And I really listened to people like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they said that, how are you going to stop working your corporate job to pursue your hobby and make it into a business, But I can say one thing that really, really pushed me forward was I used it as therapy too. So, and the reason why I say I used it as therapy is because At the time, I was pregnant with my youngest, and my middle son, he was he had just been diagnosed with cancer. So for me, at that point, it was a lot of emotions going on. It was a lot of things that I couldn't express. And again, just being the way that I am, I held a lot in. So I felt that my voice was through my creations, like what I was able to create. And it was times that I wasn't able to go into the room when they took him back to sedate him. I couldn't go back there because I was pregnant. So it's kind of like, it was one of those things that made me really look at doing my own thing and making this into something bigger, because I had that attachment of using it as therapy while my son went through his treatments. And I think that's one major thing that really made me push forward and really step outside of my comfort zone, because it's like, if he didn't fail and he was successful in all the things that he was able to go through, why can't I be successful and not fail with all of the things that I want to do in a business?
Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's so powerful.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. How is your son doing now?
He's well. He's
good.
6 years cancer free.
Oh, that's
September.
Awesome.
Yes. So
wonderful.
Yes.
So when
awesome.
So when you made that decision, what do you feel like was the decision is usually the first step. What do you feel like was your next step in looking to change that hobby into a business, which is Courtney Daniel Designs?
So my next step too was to here it is, start telling people what I actually did. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go. So I started with like my church family and told them, hey, if you ever need invitations or whatever you may need, I could create them for you, no charge, because they hadn't seen my work before. They didn't know anything about me. They just knew that, I like to design cars. Mm-hmm. So I just started there, just doing a lot of free promotions until I felt comfortable enough to start telling people about what I did. But I'm going to tell you too, an aha moment that I had was during this time of therapy and deciding what business I really wanted to do and if I wanted to push forward. I told one specific lady at church, I told her, I was like, one of my dream jobs would be to work as a personal assistant, right? Mm-hmm. So she's like, hey, yeah, I have a client who may be able to work with you. So I did this internship, and little do you know, this internship turned into me working with a celebrity client in Atlanta. And from there, I was able to take what I knew best, which was design and creations, and use that as my voice as I worked as a celebrity personal assistant, and start helping them. And how I help them is when they would receive like sponsorships and gifts in the mail and things like that. They didn't have time to sit down and write cards. Mm-hmm. They didn't have time to sit out and say, oh, this is nice, I can use this here, there. So I took it upon myself to put that on my to-do list and start writing the thank you notes out for them, as well as designing it. So that was one of my aha moments, is like, oh my gosh, I could really do this. Like, take the design aspect of it and incorporate the handwritten part into it, which makes it into the brand on which we have now.
Right. That's amazing. Now, what drew you to wanting to work as a personal assistant? Was it just one of those things that you wanted to try?
Yeah, it was. When I even worked as in the banking industry, you would see them come in from time to time, celebrities come in from time to time. And I was like, hey, being an introvert, you're not on the front street, you're behind the scenes working, so you can get the stuff, you can get whatever you need to get done mm-hmm. without having to, put on a presentation or a PowerPoint or whatever the case may be.
Be in the spotlight.
You can work behind. Right, right. It's like, hey, I don't care for the spotlight. I knew I was very detail oriented. I knew that I was, good behind the scenes. Like administrative was one of my strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So I just said it. I said willingly one day. I was like, oh man, it'll be nice to be a celebrity personal assistant. And then it was just something that
And
I
then
was
it
able
happened.
to. Exactly.
Yeah, and the thing too,
Exactly.
just the idea of speaking it, as they say, speaking it into existence, saying to a person who could potentially help you, this is what I like to do, and then seeing it happen, and then
Right.
incorporating what you were already doing into that. So how did writing the handwritten notes and, using your own designs, did it help your product get in front of more people because you were sending it out using your own product when you sent these notes?
Yes, it did. But again, I was still in the early stages, so I missed a couple marks, meaning like, not putting a stamp on it saying that I created it, or,
Mm,
putting the branding on it, or even letting people know that, hey, I did this note. If you like it, I could do something for you. Again, it was like in the beginning stages,
right.
but it took that, seeing those mishaps or those hiccups up front for me to be able to learn and grow to where I am now. So, I mean, it's a given. I don't look back and regret it. I just say, it's just one of those things that happened.
Yeah, and you learn lessons from all. You kind of have to make those mistakes if you don't learn them from someone else. I feel like, oh,
Right.
now you know. It's funny. I'm going through that with my website, with backing up content on your website. Just
Mm-hmm.
say a prayer for me, Courtney, that it all works
Yeah.
out. But
Yes.
my the developers are looking at it and trying to make sure we can get the backups. And I do have some stuff back up. Anyway, I was telling someone today. I said, well, that's a lesson learned. Now I know I
Yeah.
got to get backups for those things. You just learn
Yeah.
as you go.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the thing of entrepreneurship. You learn as you go. Everyone is not going to be able to teach you that specific thing related to your business and the way you like to do it. You have to live and learn. So yeah.
Right. And as far as the design, was that something you just picked up and knew how to do, or did you take classes or anything? Because your cards and your stationery and everything is just beautiful. It's amazing.
Thank you. No, I was self-taught. I
Mm.
just, I've always been an artistic person. Like I can remember back in grade school where I would just draw because I didn't want to be called on, or I didn't want to stand up in front of the class, or I didn't, or I wanted to stay in from recess. So I always found myself doodling
Right.
and drawing. So that has always been in me as well. So I said, well, why not do it? Because I could do it in my sleep. I could design all day long if I could, but I can't because I have family.
Right. And you do the illustrations as well?
No, actually I don't. So most of the time what I do is I have a machine that helps me to cut out wording,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll use a program that helps me to kind of like piece images together. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not actually using those, like they're not my own creation. My creations come in from when I see the actual image and say, hey, it'll look good on this, or it'll look good with this color scheme. So
Oh,
that's where I put it together.
that is amazing. So for everyone listening, I'll make sure, of course, to have a link to Courtney's website, but also your Instagram just shows so many of your beautiful designs. See
Thank
Daniel
you.
Designs on
Yes,
Instagram.
thank you. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Yeah, we'll make sure we have a link to that. So I know that with the cards and all the stationery and things that you offer, but you've also expanded to offer sort of client relations as part of your service. Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Yes. So, client relations, I feel very strongly about handwritten thank you notes. As we go into a world of technology and everything is so computerized, and
Mm-hmm.
telephones with the text messages, I'm just like, I take a step back and say, how are we really making that personal connection with another human being? It's definitely not through these um, forms, which would be your computer or your phone. I'm just old school like that. So, so I feel like we must communicate in better ways to make impressions on the people who we say that we support and who we thank. So I decided to work with business owners who value handwritten messages and start writing the message for them in on their stationery. So even if they don't have stationery, I would design that for them and write the messages out just so that they could say thank you to their clients. Because, as entrepreneurs, we work so hard to gain those clients and get those clients in the door. When they're in the door and they pay us, what are you doing to help nurture that relationship? Are you just filing them away in a drawer? Are you just saying thank you and sending them a bill each month? What is it that you're doing that's personal instead of so impersonal? So I feel like this is just one way for you to connect in a meaningful way and remain top of mind, because people are going to remember that handwritten message that you sent them saying thank you. And it's like, hey, they took time out of their busy schedule to sit down and write me out a meaningful message that I'm not going to throw away. I'm going to keep that and remember that they really, really appreciate my business or my service.
Now, how important was it for you to expand your business in that way, in looking at, beyond the cards and those things, another service that you could offer to clients?
It was kind of hard because, being in the world of stationery, it's not like everyone needs stationery, but I feel like everyone needs someone saying thank you to their clients. So, and then also too, just remaining who I am and just staying true to what I really believe in, which is having the passion for design and having a passion to say thank you, really is what I wanted to offer business owners. And it's not that many businesses out there today that is offering the service on which I offer. And not only that, it's meaningful. It's something that, business owners may say they don't have time for. Okay, well, let me do the heavy lifting for you. Let me make sure that your clients know that you appreciate them. So it's kind of, I guess, going back to that personal assistant in me, those character traits in me of making sure that the image you put out is a positive image, is a image on which you want people to remember you by, is something that shows that you care about what's going on. Although you have a busy life, you still can take this time out to say thank you.
That's right. Now, what would you say, or who would you say are your primary clients now? What's the biggest part of your business now?
So I have clients here in New Hampshire. So we have a car dealership that uses me. I don't necessarily write out the handwritten notes for her, but I do design the stationery for her. And what she's done is she started to make her salesmen write the thank you notes for the people on which they work with. And I have a few small clients that are here in New Hampshire that I work with as well. I did quickly realize that New Hampshire is not as big as Atlanta. And it was a big change for me.
When did you move to New Hampshire? I thought maybe you were still here in Gwinnett.
Oh, no. So, yeah, I'm in New Hampshire, and 4 years ago. We moved 4 years ago, and I quickly had to learn that it's a whole different ball game here with the weather. It's not as many, I wouldn't say opportunities, not as much variety, not as much going on here in New Hampshire. The closest place that I see a lot of things going on is Boston. But that's like an hour away from where I am. So I just had to adapt and make it work for my current situation, which is, moving a business from a different state to a whole different new territory and pretty much having to start over.
So for anybody going through something like that, just from your own experience, what would you say has been the key for you in moving the business and sort of getting new clients? Because it's not like... I guess it's not like your business could just be online. You sort of have a personal touch, so to speak, attached to your business. So what would you say was key for you in moving to a new place and a place where not a lot is going on?
Oh, wow. It took a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to say that I was able to jump right back in once we moved here. It took about a year or so.
Mm.
Because, first of all, I had to thaw out because coming from Atlanta to
Right.
New Hampshire, it's
Right.
like the weather is just unbelievable. I just couldn't really get over the fact that people continue to operate in their day-to-day lives when it's 3-4 feet of snow on the ground. And
Right.
when I first got here, I was just in complete shock. I would just stare out the window for hours and hours, like, oh my gosh, did we just really move here?
Right. Because in
So,
Atlanta, if it sprinkles, that's it. Everything shuts
yeah,
down.
exactly. They would shut it down. So it was like, that's what I was used to. I was used to okay, school is closed, work is
Right.
out. I was used to nothing going on when it snows. So after me really talking to myself and really getting myself out of that funk, because of course, I didn't want to relocate, and then thinking about the business aspect of how you've already worked so hard in the place on which you were, and now you have to start over. It's like, who wants to do that?
Mm-hmm.
So it took a lot of self motivating. And I started by honestly just getting out. So I started by joining the gym. So because I knew that, if I joined the gym, I would probably see the same people on a regular basis. I could start talking to them and seeing what goes on around here. And they could start directing me and letting me know if any networking events are going on, or what was the best place to go to networking events, or should I go outside to Boston, or should I go to anywhere in Mass? So it just took those little small steps
Mm-hmm.
of me really, really stepping outside of my comfort zone, because just being in a whole new area with no friends or family that you could really run back to feel like comfortable. Like after you've exhausted yourself all day, you want to sometimes go back home and be with the people that really loves you and care about you. So that wasn't there either. So it just took some, again, really self-motivating, and it was just it was an experience. I can't even describe the experience because there was so many emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But I just say that you always have to think about why I actually started, which goes back to, my therapy sessions. Like, oh my gosh, like if he fought through this, I can really fight through this as well. So that was really in the back of my mind. So I just started going out and talking to people and letting people know what I do, and if they knew anybody, and from there it just it started that way with referrals and stuff.
And so important what you said too about remembering your why, for whether it's a move or the
Mm-hmm.
freezing cold weather or just a bad day or your site goes down or whatever it is. It's sort of like, why am I doing this? Sometimes I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, let me know what you think, that's the only thing in that moment that gets you through.
Right.
Yeah. Excellent. So
Mm-hmm.
what made you move to New Hampshire? Was it new opportunities for?
It was for my husband.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, he had been working with someone who did business in Atlanta, and so on a yearly basis, they would fly up and they would fly down and fly him up.
Mm-hmm.
So that went on for some years, and then finally, it was proposed that we move. And so. At first, I was like, no, you can telecommute. I mean, you can commute. You can commute. We'll be fine here. It's enough family members to take one kid, and I'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, no, I'm not trying to hear that. So we just moved, and honestly, after me getting over that whole year or so, it's okay. I say it's okay. I'm not saying that it's great, because I can't honestly say that I'm used to the snow. But it's a good place to raise kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good place to start new opportunities. And the reason I say that is because a lot of things weren't here that I was used to back home in Atlanta. So it's kind of like I was able to create that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, seeing it as an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to an obstacle.
Exactly.
Right.
But it took a minute for my mindset to get there, because
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to catch the midnight train back to Georgia.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Exactly. So how do you feel about where your business is now, being in New Hampshire, and just the stage of your business overall?
I feel it's great. I would have never thought the opportunities that have come my way would have presented themselves had I stayed in Atlanta. So it's kind of good for me to see that positive side of it. And I'm happy. I'm happy to see that when I first moved here, I was able to go to local stores and let them know the type of work I did and asked if it was okay if I was able to, set up in their store. And they're like, sure. And I'm think back to Atlanta. Would I have been able to do that so easily? I don't think so. So it's really community oriented here. It's really community based, which is a good thing because you get to really know people here. And it's you can easily tell people what you do, and they would give you that support on which you need. Like, hey, such and such was looking for some invitations, or such and such was looking for some cards for their business. So I really do like that. I really do like that.
Would you say referrals is an important part of your business?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And another thing that I started doing was in reference to marketing. Just taking the marketing, I was like, what is a new way that I can market where someone would actually sit down and pay attention to what I'm sending them, right? So I just started I created these hello cards where on the front, well, first I had to do some research about where I was going to send the card and to who I needed to address it to. So on the front of the card, it just says hello. And then on the inside, I would put my pitch on the inside, right? So that solves two problems. It solves the problem of me having to send them product if I just sent them a regular letter or I gave them a phone call, because they actually have the product in their hand. And two, it's like they know the quality of my work because they're able to see what I'm actually capable of and what I'm actually selling because they're holding it. So I was able to try that, and that really worked as well. So I just wanted to kind of kill two birds with one stone,
So inside of the hello card, you would say, obviously I'm Courtney Daniel and this is what I do. This is my work kind of thing. Is that what your pitch would be? How would you phrase it?
Yes, that's exactly right. Or say, for instance, if they came as a referral, I would say, hi, Beth, this is Courtney. I was referred to you by such and such. Just wanted to send you a sample product of my card. Here it is. They have it in hand. Right. I would like to work with you. And if you feel like this is something that your business can benefit from, please reach out to me or let me know, because they have it right there in hand and they're going to be awed by what they have in hand.
Right,
so yeah.
I love that. Would you suggest that for people who have either stationary business, design, or that kind of thing, what would be, say, your top? I would say two. You gave us great tips already. What would you say would be your top two tips, either things that you've done or things that you wish you knew when you first started, of how people can get attention for their brands and get their products out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it could work for any brand, because what you're trying to do is capture the attention of your client. You don't necessarily have to be in stationery. You don't necessarily have to be in paper industry. You can be a person who is trying to sell a car. You can be someone who has, fitness. As long as your brand represents that on the front. So say, for instance, if it's fitness per se, maybe have something that has maybe like a dumbbell or maybe a water bottle or something like that, just depending on what kind of brand it is. Because I feel like if it's a handwritten message, they're going to read it. They're not going to throw that away. 98% of the mail that comes is junk mail. So that 2%, why not take up that 2% with a handwritten message that is really going to grab their attention? That's probably going to spark like, oh, hey, wow, this is nice. No one's ever advertised to me via a handwritten message about coming to my boutique on Saturday because I'm having a trunk sale or something, you know? So I think it's great for any business. Now, in reference to something that I wish I had known before starting my business, is that entrepreneurship is lonely.
Yeah.
So
say that, Courtney.
Yes. Had I known that before, maybe I would have went in with a partner or something. So at least I had somebody to talk to. But entrepreneurship is long. And then, I think too, you start to get in your own head. It's like you can say, hey, this is a good idea. I think I should start it like tomorrow. And then when tomorrow comes, it's like, maybe that wasn't a good idea at all. It's like you're really in your head. So had I known that before, I would have probably, again, hired a partner or talk to someone to see if they would be as visionary as I am and see if they wanted to partner. So at least I could throw ideas off.
Interesting. Now, speaking of that, what would you say your support network looks like?
Yeah, so my support network, I have a couple online mentors where I take a couple courses online, and then just my family. My family is where I bounce a lot of ideas off of because I feel like they know me. They've seen my work and what I'm capable of, and they're quick to tell me, Courtney, no, those color combinations is not cute. So, and I don't take offense to that because I know they're saying it out of love, and they know what my expectations are because I am so hard on myself. If I see something, if I'm working on something and if I don't like it, it doesn't go out, even though it may look great in someone else's eyes. But if I see one little speck, I start over. So they know the expectations of me. So they're honest and let me know, hey, Courtney, you might want to start over because I don't think that is truly speaking what you're capable of doing.
I'm going to invite you, too, into the Support is Sexy Mastermind if you're not already in it. It's a private Facebook group, but we have a few hundred women in there, all kinds of industries and that kind of thing all over the world. So I think it would be a great place if you're interested.
Yeah, sure.
Yay, good. I'll add you to that. I was thinking about it while you were talking. Like, Courtney would be great in that group.
Thank you.
What would you say entrepreneurship has taught you about yourself as a woman?
Oh, wow. That I can only be me. I can only be one person. And I can't try to be the person that is trying to cater to everyone. So for me, I have quickly learned how to stay in my lane. I have quickly learned how to not be so hard on myself at times because I have to tell myself, Courtney, you're human. This is your first time trying to create this. So really, do you expect you to get it right the first time? So I think it really has taught me to take it easy sometimes. It's okay. And it's okay to take a break. Like, you don't have to be in front of your computer 28/9 all day, 365. Right. You don't have to be. It's okay to take time for self-care. Yeah.
Excellent. So in closing, then, what would you say if you think over your life and career and you had the chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally? Who would that be and what would you say?
I would say my grandmother. And the reason I say her is because she's very wise. And I talk to her every day. And it's just having that connection of memories of, when I can talk to her and think back to my childhood and how I used to be and how much I used to talk about doing things in life. And I feel like she has really been there to support me. And it's like no judgment from her. So regardless of what I tell her, it's like, okay, Okay, I support you. So regardless of what I say, she's there. So I think that, being an entrepreneur, that is really important, is to really have that diehard person that is in your corner no matter what. If your business was to fail, or if, someone says this about you, or even if you accomplish great things, they're still rooting for you because they know what you've come from and where you are now. So it would be my grandmother.
Yay, we love Grandma. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that.
You're welcome.
So now tell us, Courtney, how we can support you. As I said, I'll have links to your website and your gorgeous social media, of course, but anything we can do to support you.
Absolutely. I would appreciate the support right now of just, taking a look at your business. And if you feel like you're missing something, as a connection of being able to bond with your clients more, just sit down and write them a letter. That's how that could help me, because I feel like that would be me actually getting my message out, and for people to experience what I experience when I receive a handwritten message, or experience what someone else may receive. I mean, how someone else would feel receiving a handwritten message. And also too, I'm also on social media. Mm-hmm. And so my links for Facebook and Instagram is at C Daniel Designs. So if you feel that I've shared something valuable with you tonight, then just feel free to follow me, and I'd like to share more with you.
Excellent. And your designs, are they available by the box? I see so many that I love on here. Like if I wanted to buy a box of the thing, or are they all custom made once someone orders?
They're custom made. So unless you see something that you like, I may be able to replicate it as close as possible. But for the most part, all of those are custom made to fit the personalities of the clients.
Oh, I love that. Now, you also had a special offer for supported sexy listeners, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes, tell us. Yes,
so the offer is for first-time clients, which all of you will be, 8 custom cars that you have never seen before, for $25, and that includes shipping. So it would be 8 thank you cards that you can send out to 8 people that you really value, love, and admire for $25, and that includes the shipping.
Excellent. Now, how do we go about getting that? Do we go to your website and enter in a code, or just let you know, where they heard about it?
Actually, it's a link. So I will forward you the link so you can put in the show notes, and it's very special for the Support is Sexy podcast guests.
Thank you so much. That's fantastic. I think you did tell me that now that you said it. I remember you said it'll be a special link.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. I remember that now. Excellent. Thank you so much. You might see my name pop up on there for some thank you cards.
Welcome.
Great, Courtney. Thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself with us, and your story as well as your strategy. Now, before you go, what's a parting piece of advice from you to our listeners about anything?
Sure. Just stay true to who you are. It's a lot of noise out there in the online world. And if you stay true to you and you remain consistent and humble, there's someone out there that's going to reach out to you because you're presenting yourself as who you are.
Excellent. Courtney Daniel, thank you so much. Hold on just a second. All right. Thank you so much for listening to that conversation with Courtney Daniel. Be sure to go to supportissexypodcast.com and search Courtney Daniel, Courtney, last name Daniel, Daniel. And her show notes page will pop up, and you will see within the show notes all the resources mentioned in this episode, as well as the direct link to the discount on the thank you cards that she's offering Support is Sexy listeners, which is so thoughtful. Thank you, Courtney. And the cards are beautiful. You're going to want to check them out. So again, go to supportissexypodcast.com and search Courtney Daniel, no S at the end, Courtney Daniel. All right. So again, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. Make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast. Please subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, formerly known as iTunes, on Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, wherever you listen to us. thank you so much. First of all, I appreciate you, but make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Whenever a new one goes live, it'll be there for you on your device, in your car, wherever you listen, on your commute, etc. It will be there for you. Also, if you like the show, I would love to hear from you. You can leave a review. I love a 5-star review, but any kind of feedback is always appreciated. So subscribe, review, and make sure you go to supportissexypodcast.com so you can check out more on the interview with Courtney and get your discount. And make sure you say hi to her when you reach out. All right. Thank you again so much for listening. Again, I appreciate you. And for now, you know what to do. Go out there and create something sexy. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.